Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Gila Romani from EduCultivate. Brothers and sisters, when we talk about curriculum, everyone talks about curriculum, but they don't know what curriculum means. When we talk about Islamic curriculum even more, we do not understand where do we want to go. So we find educators who are Islamic, they take non-Islamic curriculums and they try to Islamicize it. So the Islamicization, if I can say it correct, is Islamization of the curriculum is none other than trying to take chicken that is not the biha and trying to make it the biha. It's too late, it's already dead. Okay, it's not as bad, but what I'm trying to say is that you can't just take a curriculum that is non-Islamic and then just change a few things, certain aspects, and then try to make it Islamic. That's not how it works. A curriculum has to be from inception. It has to be thought thoroughly as to who are you trying to teach. Number one, who. The who is very important. Number one, the what. Number two, that's number two. Number three, the how. And number four is, did you succeed and how are you going to assess it? So, see, the who, okay, it's the Muslims and so on. We want to have an Islamic curriculum for the Muslims. Non-Muslims are welcome as well if they want to. The what, this is the question here, because, see, if you're not teaching the correct knowledge, which is Islamic, and here Islamic knowledge has a certain element of, of peculiarity. Is something very peculiar. It's not just anything, any knowledge. So that's very important. And for us, for Muslims, it is the Quran and Sunnah, it is the prophetic traditions, it is the authenticity that's very important, it is the Quran, the word of Allah. So it's not just anything, but it's something very important. But it goes beyond that though, because we don't just teach Quran and Sunnah and that's it, right? The students are gonna not be able to just talk about Quran and Sunnah. They have to learn all the other sciences that are around in the world, and these are part of the natural world which Allah has revealed in the first place anyway. So it is part of Islam. But the how here now, the third point, is the pedagogy. And the pedagogy, I think, though all three are important. So the who, you should know who you're teaching, and you should know them very well. You should know their cultural nuances. You should know their differences. You should know their background, their history, and everything. And the what, we said, okay, we know it's the Quran Sunnah. This is something very clear for us. We do not teach ilm la yanfa. This is something that the world has to wake up to. A lot of people are spending days and nights, years after years in knowledge that is not beneficial, and that is causing a lot of corruption amongst the beneficial knowledge, and people are confused as to, well, what is beneficial knowledge anyway these days? I can study whatever I want to. Beneficial knowledge is knowledge that will benefit the world, whereas some kind of knowledge of esoteric, irrelevant type of science that no one really cares about. It's just a hobby that some people just love it. Doesn't really bring any benefit to the world. That's something that's not beneficial to humanity at large, even to animals, right? So the what is very important, okay? And the how, now the pedagogy, the ethics, the morals of teaching, of how do you do it. This is where there's a clear distinction that we Muslims have to pay very, very significant attention to, because it's a faith-based pedagogy, and it's not student-centered, it's not teacher-centered, it's God-centered, and that's probably the most important thing that we need to remember as Muslims. Educationists, academicians, whoever you are, PhDs, masters, around the world, we're trying to so-called reform Islamic education. We're trying to do something for Islamic education. You have to remember that even the terminology that we use, this needs to be rethought. We need to go back to the main source, which is the Quran and the life of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Because if we actually believe that he was sent by God and he was a teacher, then definitely his methodologies were the best. Yeah, I know you have Piaget, yeah, I know you have Vygotsky, yeah, I know you have all kinds of theorists, that have come around, and we respect some of the theories, and a lot of people study them, including myself. But as Muslims, we need to believe, if we do, and we need to go back to it, that Prophet Muhammad was the best of teachers. Now, if you look around the world, whether you have an actual curriculum that's based on that, that's studied, researched from scratch, going back from zero, and dedicating and dictating the terminology, the processes, the policy, everything from that, inspired from the Sunnah, the life of Prophet Muhammad, the context of it, the words of Allah, then we are talking. But if not, you can't call that an Islamic curriculum. And that's what I call people to. We need to go and establish institutions that fund, that give scholarships to students who will go back to the Quran, Sunnah, the life of the Prophet, and pull out the educational theories. Piaget, that's fine. We put it on the side. Vygotsky, we put on the side. Gardner, we put on the side. We need our own, because we have our own approach to things, and we are doing a disservice to the Muslim Ummah, to these children, to these students, if we don't provide him with that. They're coming to us for knowledge, not only content, but delivery process and authenticity. We always talk about authenticity. Authenticity not only on whether this hadith is authentic or not, but whether the concept is authentic or not, the delivery, the pedagogy is authentic or not, the way we teach, is this the way the Prophet used to teach? The so-called way we're teaching today, our Islamic studies, is that the way the Prophet used to teach? Because I have an argument against that. And not because I say so, it's because the Prophet ﷺ did it in a different way. So we need to really go back to this, to design our own curriculum. This is what I call educationalists, academicians from around the world, Muslims, and I call upon governments, and I call upon the organizations who are sometimes, mashallah, very well funded, to use these funds to really fund research that looks at the life of Prophet and just really unlearns everything else. And that's the first thing. We need to unlearn the educational process, the non-Muslim educational process. I know some people might not like that, but why not? They're saying things like that. Why don't we have the prerogative and the right to do that? And go to the life of Prophet and start everything from scratch. Who says that you have to be in a grade for 1 year? Who says that you have to be at this age? Who says that you have to be in a classroom in the first place? Who says that you have to have standardized tests? Just because a system said it for so many years that we have to take it as it's a revelation? We need to ask these critical, if we like this word, I like to use the word rational, but we need to ask these questions. And we as Muslims have the responsibility towards our children, towards the future of this ummah, to really do this, to design a proper curriculum from A to Z, from Alif to Ya, to really give quality, prophetic-based teaching and learning, teaching for learning, and so on. See, I'm using the terminology because we're so inculcated with this terminology of the West, and me as an educationist from the West, right? But I believe I need to undo that, and we need to go back to the research, and we need to do it from scratch. Is what I call you to. I think I've covered what I wanted to say. I'm very passionate about this. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. If you have any ideas, if you want to fund this, if we can establish organizations to give scholarships to students, do master's or PhD, do we even call it master's, PhD? I think we need to have our own terminology. The ijaza concept. I mean, there's so many things that the Muslim Ummah had, and we're just consumers now. We need to go back to being producers. Remember Baghdad, remember Andalus, remember Medina, remember Fez, remember Morocco, remember what the Muslims had. We need to go back to being producers. So curriculum is very important. Our processes are not the same as theirs, non-Muslims. We respect whatever, but we significantly disagree with them on many points. And we need to do our own. We need to really, really get down there and do our own. Again, we said the who. We need to know the who. These are our Muslim children who believe in Allah. They say La ilaha illallah. The what, this is very important, the authenticity, the knowledge of the Quran and Sunnah, the authenticity, the divine knowledge, and the how, the process. Okay, we're faith-based, we have ethics and morals that we don't compromise on, and it's very important. And just taking a IGCSE, taking a Cambridge, taking a Common Core Standards, taking whatever, New South Wales, and just changing Stacy for Fatima and John for Muhammad doesn't cut it. Doesn't cut it. You don't Islamicize something. You can't take non-halal chicken and make it halal after it's been slaughtered. Maybe it's the wrong comparison, but I think you know what I'm saying and you understand what I mean. Jazakumullah khair. I wait to hear some of your feedback. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
إن لله عبادا فطنا طلقوا الدنيا وخافوا الفتنا نظروا فيها فلما علموا أنها ليست لحي وطنا جعلوها لجة واتخذوا صالح الأعمال فيها سفنا إن لله عبادا فطنا طلقوا الدنيا وخافوا